Good weekend, all. I'm Epstein with your Spider ETF stock market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for Friday, the 27th of October, 2023. Well, I'm sure you're watching television and seeing that the incursion in the Middle East is going on by Israel. How far this one goes, we don't know. They've taken out connection of phones and internet, so who knows where that's all going. They're not letting through the trucks that need to be let through. They're not letting in fuel. We'll see. At the same time, Hamas is saying in Qatar, we want to release all the prisoners, but we want a complete cessation. That isn't going to happen. The way that this can end is Hamas leaves en masse, go to Qatar, wherever you're going to go, and that would be it, maybe. I use the word maybe. I don't know what's on Israel's mind. Or Israel's going to do its best to annihilate them. And the world, the heck with it. There's lots of pressure on Israel. That's why these incursions are now picking up. They see it. That's where it's at. Ukraine. I don't know if you're watching the events there because it's lost in everything. But suddenly they're demanding licenses and the like for grain shipments that should have been done. They're not allowing a black market because Slovakia properly said, there's a lot of corruption going on here. We're a small country. We're throwing our money here, and we believe that it's not being used for what it should be, and they pulled back. Now, that's their story. It doesn't matter. There's only so much in war that you take, and that's it. And I bring this up because what about us? At what point are we financially in trouble? Because we have been sitting here as a major contributor to Ukraine. Now we've got Israel to go. We have a war. Yes, I call it a war on our border. You can't keep it open the way that it is. And Biden doesn't seem to want to do anything about it. So you get that. We in Chicago, there's lawsuits galore over the migrants. We're a sanctuary city and nobody wants them. You figure that out. If you're going to vote to be a sanctuary city, isn't that what a sanctuary city is? So we'll see what happens there. Then we get into the finances, away from the politics. But you got to mention the politics because they're all over the market right now. What we don't know is if the U.S. is going to pick up more military incursions of our own against Syria or what's going on in Iraq. I don't know. But we saw earnings galore, and many of them were great, and the markets couldn't stay up. So is it the politics? Is it the fact that there's so much debt, the market doesn't want to know what to do with it? Is the market looking ahead and saying, hey, we got interest rates here at 5% roughly. Does the Fed have to go towards 6? I don't think anybody knows. The market's this week going to see a couple of things that are super important. First and foremost is the U.S. Treasury funding. I know you'd expect me to say the Fed. It's not the first and foremost. How much money does the Treasury have to do? Because every day we get these auctions, and they are the ones driving the rates higher. Because in order to attract to fund the debt that we have as the United States, they have to get money. And to attract it, you don't have China buying the money the way that you did before. I don't know how much Japan is buying or not buying, to be honest. I know China's backed off. You take a look, we don't have a Fed buying. You have to attract it from other sources. Those other sources want what? Higher yield. And that's what you're facing. And that's what's hurting this market. Now, obviously, the difference is you've got the gold market that jumped today rather sharply because about 2 in the afternoon, 3, the news wires all of a sudden had it that Israel has moved in a major fashion. We'll see that all weekend, and that's the thing that you're dealing with. So you've got the big interest in terms of interest rates. You've got the interest rates on Wednesday. You got the Bank of Japan reporting, Bank of England now, and the United States. You have earnings galore, and even when they're good, the market gives that particular stock 48 hours, and then it gets pulled into all the others that have been dropping down. What often happens in October is happening. I told you before, this is the wildest and hardest month to traditionally trade. It has proven to be that, just exactly that. I wish we didn't have to do that, but we do. Then with the market seasonally. Now, will it happen? I know as much about it as the man on the moon. I know what it's supposed to do, but I don't know if it'll happen. Seasonally, this washout creates the rally that goes into year end. We'll see if that works itself out. So when we come to Meta together, the market had some good numbers, but for the week you're down 4%. I don't think they're that good then. I mean, I'll define how the market finishes, and that determines where you're at. When we look over here, there is no trend. This is called a swing line. And on a swing line, and I've made them a little bigger this week for you, you got a higher high, and this low took out that low. So up until that happened, we had a pattern of higher lows and higher highs. This week's low broke that pattern. Where did the market fight its battle? It's fighting it at the 18-week average of closes in red. Then you have the 200-week and the 100-week. Markets often fight against the 18-week average to figure out what they're going to do next. When we come over here, 2 weeks ago, when you hit the upper Bollinger Band, these videos are out there. I'll be shocked if I didn't say the pros are probably taking their positions off at that number. Because when you hit a Bollinger Band, if you've taken my course and you're not embedded, which you're not, that's what I teach goes on. As it turns out, it wasn't bad. But let's flip it now. You're down to the lower Bollinger Band. You've missed it so far by 50 cents. You hit it this week, I'm going to repeat. Because you're not embedded, I think that's where the pros will take their money. You're caught in sideways action here, which is what the market seems to be stuck at. Microsoft fired on every cylinder. I mean, I'm very bullish this because everybody has a Microsoft product. When you have a Microsoft product, when I say everybody, most people that have PCs, you do realize Apple PCs are a minority. They're Macs and everything else. So most people use these Apple products. They're going to be able to charge for AI. They're charging ahead in it. This is a company firing on every cylinder. If we take out this week's low, then I'd get concerned. Barring that, I expect to see the pros step in anything near 329.5 and be aggressive buyers in the market. In KRE, lower highs, lower lows, too oversold, downtrend, caught in sideways action. That's how I'm going to view that. MCHI, China. So China's definitely come out, and they've increased their debt to their GDP by 20%. They can take it from a 3% number to 3.8. That's 20% of it. Okay. What else did they do? They threw $137 billion at the economy, but there's more to come. I think their party Congress ends on the 30th. So let's see what they come up with. You're down to the area where if you're embedded, what does embedded mean? Both numbers that make up the slow stochastic, it means, will stay on. Let's see if I can get this to operate. Yeah, there we go. So both numbers would be under 20. And they'd be there for at least 3 weeks in a row, which you've got. So it tells me that if you get bounces in the market from here, those bounces are going to be sold until the red line closes over 21. So the overall compelling trend is down. In XLI, lower highs, lower lows. Now this was the first challenge, and you've done it for the past 2 weeks, well, actually 3 weeks, in 1 week of a bounce, where you've gotten under the 100-week average and the Bollinger Band in the industrial sector. The industrial sector is getting hurt. If you just look around, what's going on in the car makers? They're all in trouble. Why? They're settling left and right. Ford made its settlement this week. Now you see that at the afternoon today, GM has done it. I'd be surprised if we don't get Stellantis instantly. They're all three doing it. But if Ford's losing $850 a car, according to them, is what they're going to lose. According to them, it's wonderful to talk these electric vehicles, but the people that wanted them at the price points that you have to sell them at, they're done. The cars are overpriced compared to an ICE engine, an internal combustion, and probably a more logical thing would have been in America, at least given our infrastructure, to have hybrids, the mixture of the two. That's what I would think until the roadways, until you get more people that can work on electric cars, number one, because they break down in the middle of nowhere. It's one thing I find a local mechanic that can often work on a car. I think you know that. It's a whole different thing with an electric car. Number two, where do you find your charging stations? So on and so forth. That is the problem. They're wonderful in big cities, and they're wonderful in towns or communities. They're near big cities because you'll have that infrastructure. The minute you keep going further out, they're not so wonderful. And the moment you want to take a big city ride somewhere, they're not so wonderful. I mean, you've got to plan your trip accordingly, where I don't have to do that in a hybrid or an internal combustion. And the price point. Even with the government help, that's it. So even Ford said, we'll spend the $12 billion we've allocated. We're just going to spend it instead of in, let's say, 4 years, we'll do it in 6. You're going to see other companies start talking that. If they're having the problem, why aren't others? In XLE, well, the energy sector, down. Now, you wouldn't think that the sector itself would be down given the Middle East situation. We could wake up in the morning and all of a sudden, for some reason, an oil well in Iran is blown up. And then what happens in the game? I don't know. I don't know enough to know that. But I know it's a powder keg there. But the market is saying, no. Here's what the market's saying. We get that. Maybe oil gets the bid. But the sector itself, the economies are weak. And they look like they're getting weaker. Inflation is strong. We have the Fed coming out this week. Are they going to raise rates? From my perspective, in seeing today's PCE core number, yes, they should. I am so big in the minority. I'm a hawk. If you're going to beat inflation, beat it. But when you pause and you're still going up in the number, what are we looking for? That lag effect. I get it. Will it work? I don't know. UUP, dollar bid, war environment, of course, and high interest rates relative to other places. Now you had an outside week up. If you've taken my outside week course, if you take out the low of an outside week within 2 weeks, it's often a sign that you've got a bull trap, and the market can sell off on you. So be a bit careful if that happens. GLD, you've gone from the lower area here where there was short covering to the top. Now, we know that you got there today. If we don't see anything worse in the Mideast, you're probably going to see profit taking against that. If the situation gets worse, this will be a breakout number and you go. I have no idea. I don't control warfare, but it's not about gold. It's about war. GDX, a whole different thing. If you're going to play gold, this is not the minor play. I'm not saying they can't get dragged eventually with it, but it's not the minor play. It is not, gold's up, everybody wants it, and you got to produce more. This could be a flash in the pan, this war in Israel. It could be over in 2 months. Miners won't commit $1 billion, hundreds of millions of dollars for that, all right? Make it a lasting environment that they have to do it. And at 8% money plus, you heard 8 plus. They're not getting it at prime. It's going to be other numbers. I don't think they're going to be doing that. In Tesla, even Tesla's got the problem. So here it is coming down, and they're going to have the same problem. Now, they did raise today in China their model, I think it's the Model Y car, their premium version, up $2,000 a car. The market is oversold. It's at a short covering number. I would certainly not be telling my clients to add to shorts there. You're back down to the 200-week average along with the 18. No, this is a spot that I could see covering shorts, but I'd walk away from anything like that. Uber's been throwing out nothing but problems. I was friendly on Uber for the longest time. Even made it one of our stellar performers we were following because I thought they were getting into the delivery of food and other products, whatever you need. There used to be these little delivery services where I used them. I got a table that has to go somewhere. I'd call a guy, he'd come, and I thought they were expanding and all that. Market doesn't like what it's saying very clearly. DRI, the restaurants, Dryden, okay. So one of the things we talked about when I had this as one of the stellar performers was I thought it would go down. I said that I think the students, when they start paying money, they're not going to eat at the more lower price restaurants. And I thought the consumer would get priced out to the point where he's not going to eat at some of their higher priced restaurants. So far, that was the right thinking. Now what the market is trying to do, it's trying to say, can I find legs against the 100-day average in the Bollinger Band? And if not, then look for 128.07. You'll have an idea that it wants to find the leg if the red line closes over 21. In Google, all right. So in Google, You would think it was wonderful. This week was terrible. You're down 10%. I didn't see that coming. And by the way, if I back up this chart, I'm not the only one that didn't see. Let's see if I have to go like this one more time. Back it up. Yeah, there we go. This is how this chart looked coming in. You think that looks good? I don't think that looks so darn good. This market's got a serious problem, and here you go, swinging to the downside. Pretty ugly chart, so be a bit careful here. This market's not looking the way that I think it should be looking, and that is not very good. So you put it all together, you come up and you're trying to find out what do you do and what don't you do, and that's where I want to fit into your needs. And how do I fit in? I don't know if you know what I do in terms of my research. Sunday night, I write a market letter, a full one. Traders get that, and then Monday through Thursday, they get 2 more letters a day. They get a morning video. Between the two, what happens in the research, I'm telling you what I see, and I write in a way that is easy to read. I don't want to write books. When I got trades, they're going to look like this, and when I write commentary, it's headlines with a lot of points in it. I want you to be able to read it in 2-3 minutes and walk away at the max. In that period of time, here's an idea I got to think about. I read too many letters that every day they say the same thing over and over, and I'm sure you do too. I don't want to do that. I want to come out, give you recaps all the way through with what's going on, and then I'll write in the bottom of the recap what I see. Often I'll throw in charts for you. You get to see the picture and what I think it means. Then when we do the morning videos for you, that's where all the action is. So I'll come up with orders. A lot of stop orders on trades, momentum orders, ideas for longer term, shorter term, swing trades, not day trades, swing trades, 3-4 day trades. Other times you'll be in a week or two. We've been in GLD as an example for a while. How do you get this? I'd like to give it to you free for at least 2 weeks. How do you get it? Well, if you haven't seen it before, go to iraepstein.com and the free offers. Move your cursor to the top up here to take advantage of it. It'll take you right there. And choose some of the other offers while you're at it. We have a cart there. Choose what you want. I'm Ira. It's going to be an interesting week. I promise you. You take care.